The real nightmare would be if you read my diary. The 6th of September. When you spend your unlife living in the shadows, you get used to seeing things that are missed and missing things that are seen. Lately, though, I feel like I'm missing more than I'm seeing. Like today, for instance. There's a little garden cemetery not far from Monster High where I like to go and contemplate the simple joys of monsterhood. It has a little fountain with a park bench and a simply ginormous creeping willow tree. It's like a giant umbrella that casts the most amazing shadows. Most of the time, I am the only monster there, except on Wednesdays, when a group of troll ladies show up to play bridge. Anyway, I was sitting in my usual spot today, with my back to the tree facing away from the fountain. I heard footsteps approaching. I thought it was probably some monsters coming to pay their ghast respects, and I didn't want to disturb them, so I just sat still. If I am in the shadows and I do not move or open my eyes, I cannot be seen. As the footsteps got closer, I recognized the voices. It was Laguna and Gil. They were arguing about something, and they stopped right next to the fountain. Now, I could have just stepped from the shadow I was in to a shadow somewhere else, but I didn't. I stayed because I'm a bad monster. I am not going to write down what they said, though, because if some other monster ever reads this, it'd be like betraying a trust. I was sad the rest of the day over what I heard. They are both so sweet and make such a great couple, but I had no idea they were facing such outside pressure on their relationship. I guess I was looking, but not seeing. I really wish they would get this problem resolved, but some things can't be wished away, only worked through. Eventually Gil left, but Laguna stayed a little bit longer. She sat for a while, and I could hear her crying. I guess at that point, I wanted so much to just run over and hug her, but I couldn't. I know, I'm a terrible monster, but I didn't know what to do. That's not true. I mean, the terrible monster part is. I should have just gone over and given her a hug. Epic fail. I waited for a bit after Laguna left, and then I left too. The 10th of September. Being able to jump from one shadow to another without having to step into the light means that I can avoid talking to other monsters if I don't want to. It's not that I don't like other monsters, but I feel kind of awkward sometimes. Like, maybe I'll say or do something wrong and embarrass myself. I remember I'd been at MH for a while, but I hadn't really made any friends. Not because the other students hadn't been nice to me. They were. I just always disappeared before I let them get too close. I remember the day I got cornered, literally. I was sitting by myself in the very back corner of the creepateria at a table underneath a burned out light that was casting a nice big shadow. I was just eating my lunch and watching when Helene started walking my way. I sat still, knowing that she wouldn't be able to see me, but I didn't want to leave either because I was hungry. So she came over and sat right down across from me. She sniffed a couple of times and said, "BB&J?" "Okay, I answered with a mouthful of sandwich. "Nah, but I can smell you." "No way!" "Of course I can. I'm a werewolf, and the nose knows. You smell like dust and straw scary jam." I started to excuse myself, but Howleen asked me not to. "I really don't feel like eating lunch by myself. Would you mind hanging out?" So I didn't disappear. I stayed, and I made a friend for unlife. Plus, I didn't embarrass myself even once. Hashtag win-win. The 1st of October. Usually, Dustin meets me at the door when I get home from school, but he wasn't waiting for me today. I called for him, but he didn't come. I checked all his usual hiding places. Under the bed, behind the doors, in all the corners. But he was nowhere to be found. I started to get worried. I even went outside to look, although he hasn't been out on his own since the day a big wind blew him into the black scary brambles. I went back inside and was just about to start making lost posters to hand out around the neighborhood when I heard a thump, scratch, thump, scratch, thump, scratch. I looked up and there was Dustin, covered in glitter, double stick tape, and beads. He had taken a nap in my craft box, and the end from a roll of necklace wire had wrapped around his foot while the spool had gotten stuck in the box. I would have taken a picture with my eye coffin, but he just looked so pitiful. It took me 2 hours to get him all cleaned up. I'll have to save dryer lint for a week to patch all the bare places. The 15th of October. I went to Helene's house for a sleepover. It was cool getting to meet her family. I mean, I'd seen Claude and Claudine around school, but this was the first time I really officially met them. I wish now I hadn't waited so long because I feel like I missed out on some good times by being so shy. I also got to meet another one of Helene's sisters. Her name is Claudia, and she's going to college in London. She actually wasn't there, so we talked to her online with video chat. She is studying to be a writer. She's really funny, and she had everybody in the house cracking up about what it's like living in London. Claudine left and went to hang out with Dracula and Frankie at Frankie's house, so Helene and I stayed up late talking. We've got, tons in common. We like the same TV shows, the same music, catty noir, natch, the same kind of styles, and we even think the same boys are cute. One thing that we don't see eye to eye on is the need to be popular. I don't care if I am, and Helene feels like if she isn't, she'll disappear in the shadows of her older siblings. I told her that living in the shadows wasn't all that bad, but she was totally focused on being in the spotlight. Eventually, though, she got out of her funk and we spent the rest of the night watching movies. We had a scary cool time, and I can't remember when I've ever laughed so hard. When Helene fell asleep, I snuck out and grabbed a late nightmare snack. I got back way before morning and woke up to the smell of bananas, scary pancakes, and bacon coming from the wolf's kitchen. So much fun, and so happy to have a friend. Maybe I'll try and spend a little more time out of the shadows from now on. Maybe. The 25th of October. Most monsters stay away from normies as much as they can. My family, not so much. We have what my dad calls a symbiotic relationship with normies, only they don't know it. They think the boogeyman hangs out under their beds and in their closets to scare them. That's not it at all. We are dream eaters. Well, nightmare eaters, actually. We hide in the shadows and watch for them. Then, when we see one, we pounce. That's why our eyes glow in the dark, so we can see the dreams. Of course, we can't see what's in the dreams. We recognize them by color. Yellow for happiness, red for action, blue for flying, green for fantasy, and lots of in-between colors and shades that mix all different kinds of dreams together. Nightmares are the color of storm clouds, all gray, black, and menacing. I only wish my dreams could be pounced on too, but it doesn't work that way for us. I dreamed a dream last night that I was on a brightly lit stage in front of the whole school. I was supposed to give a speech and I forgot the topic, so I just stood there looking for a shadow to hide, but there weren't any. Then every monster started laughing at me. I turned to run and tripped off the stage, which was suddenly at the top of a very tall tower, and I was falling and falling and falling. Then I was back on stage again, and every monster in the audience was giving me a standing ovation. I looked behind me, and there was a panel of judges holding up scoreboards. 9.5, 9.5, 10.0, 9.5, 4.0. So I started arguing with the judge who gave me the 4.0, and she told me that I flapped my arms too much as I was falling. And I woke up. Told my dad about it, and he said it was probably just something I ate. Dads are so weird. The 28th of October. Halloween is not enjoying her popularity as much as she thought she would. And there are shadows in places where they should not be. I am worried, and no monster seems to be listening to me. I must find a monster that will.